Close to Thomas Telford's famous bridge in the heart of Speyside, and on the edge of the village of Creigellicky, lies the Speyside cooperage. Believe it or not, each of these oak casks started life over 100 years ago as a tiny acorn. The quality and flavour of a good malt whisky depends on its various ingredients: the water, the barley, and of course the distilling process. But it's also very much influenced by the cask in which it matures, for at least 3 years. Here at Creigellicky, casks are still made and repaired in the traditional way. We use machinery for some of the processes, but the hand tools used by our coopers and apprentices are still very similar to those used by our distant ancestors. Each new cask is assembled from a number of different components. The staves are first machined down to the correct thickness and jointed so that they will form a watertight fit with the staves on either side. Each individual stave is shaped in 6 different ways. A number of staves are then carefully selected for the process of raising up. This assembling of the staves into a cask is a tricky business. But visitors can try it for themselves with one of our demonstration casks. It's not as easy as it looks. One end of the cask is assembled and secured with metal hoops, which were traditionally adjusted and riveted by hand. The cask is then steamed for up to an hour to soften the wood sufficiently to enable it to bend. The cask's open end can then be drawn in using a windlass and secured with more metal hoops. The cask is then toasted very slowly over an open fire for around 40 minutes to an external temperature of about 30 degrees centigrade. Firstly, to set the new shape of the wood, but also to open the grain on the inside of the cask. This caramelizes the wood and releases wonderful spicy vanilla flavors, which will ultimately influence the flavor of the whisky or wine, which will mature in the cask. Casks which are going to the whisky distillers then go through an additional charring process to vary the flavors further. The cask is heated whilst covered with a steel plate to exclude oxygen. After about a minute, when the wood begins to make a crackling sound, the cover is removed, oxygen rushes in, and the cask is allowed to burn for around 20 to 30 seconds, depending on whether the distiller has specified a medium or heavy charring. Now the inside ends of the cask are machined with a groove or crow's bed being cut into which the heads will be fitted before being assembled into squares. No glue is needed. The heads are fitted and sealed with a specially grown reed called a flag and secured with hoops. The exact size of the hoops is critical for a good tight fit, and here the experience of the cooper is essential. The bunghole can now be cut, followed by a final tightening with a hydraulic press. The cask should now pass the final test when compressed air and water are injected into the bunghole. And the next time you sample a Speyside malt whisky, you may be able to picture the cask in which it matured, which started life over 100 years ago as an acorn.